Welcome to the Conquering Chronic Illness Show. I'm your host, Daphne Wiswell, the chronic illness coach. And each week, I'm going to be bringing you stories, strategies, and sparks of hope that I pray will encourage you on your journey through life as a conqueror. If illness, mindsets, or other obstacles have held you back from living the life you desire, and you've been looking for real hope, real strategy, and real connection, then you've come to the right place. I'm so glad you're here. Well, today I am here to talk to you about two ways that you can handle bad news from the doctor. I recently went and sat in with my 20-year-old on an appointment with her rheumatologist, and we learned some things that really aren't great. But I feel like, and that's why this topic is on my heart to share today, because this has happened in multiple people in my family and myself many times over. We've gotten bad news of all different sorts. And one of the things that I've learned is that even though we don't always get to choose what happens to us, we get to choose how we respond. And so in this particular appointment with my daughter, her rheumatologist told her that she's 20, by the way. Her rheumatologist told her that she's on track to develop osteoarthritis and need double knee replacements by the time she's 30 years old. She was diagnosed with two different forms of autoimmune arthritis when she was only 10, and she's been dealing with a lot of pain ever since then. And we have done all kinds of different nutritional therapies, alternative therapies, medical treatments, prescription drugs. Like we've just done lots of prayer, all kinds of different things. Many of you probably know that I have my own story of being completely healed from rheumatoid arthritis. And so as her mom, seeing her go through a lot of the same things that I went through, but at a much younger age, is really not easy on my heart. But that's why I feel led to share this, because I know there are so many of you who are in that same boat, who are either dealing with your own diagnoses, or you love someone who is struggling with a diagnosis and you just don't understand and it doesn't make sense, and you've tried everything and nothing seems to be working. And I think there are a lot of people who would ask, and I was one of those people for a really long time, why is this happening? This isn't fair. You come up with all of these different um, things that you start to believe about your experience and your life and your future that probably aren't true, because you start to imagine things with fear. And so those are the two strategies I want to talk to you about, the two different ways that you can choose to handle information that you receive from your doctor. One of those ways is that you can use your imagination to picture your future exactly the way the doctor described it, with exactly the prognosis that was given to you. So in my daughter's case, she could hear that she's on track to develop osteoarthritis. She's on track to need double knee replacements. And she could start to imagine, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be so young. What if I have to use a wheelchair? What if I have to, um, you know, go on disability? Like, there's so many different ways that you can begin to imagine your future with fear. And that is just a way to stir up a lot of stress in your physical body. And probably if you're listening to this, you know that stress is really bad for your immune system. It's really hard on any kind of inflammatory condition. And so the last thing that you need to be doing is adding stress that comes from thoughts that you can choose to shift. And it's not easy, and it takes practice, and it takes intentionality. But what I really love about my daughter is that she's been practicing this for a long time now. We've modeled this in our home, and it's not denial to declare the things that you want to see, that to declare the things that you believe, and to say things like, my future is bright, my health is glowing, I'm full of vitality, even if a doctor is reporting the total opposite. So we left that appointment, and the first thing I asked my daughter was, how do you feel about what the doctor said today? I wanted to kind of check in with her mood, and if she was dealing with any anxiety, or how she felt about the news that we got. And she looked at me and she was like, you know what, Mom? I just don't believe that that's going to happen. I just don't believe that that is true. And I love that so much because science has proven, and the Bible tells us that our thoughts and our words have great power. And in that moment, she basically decided that what she heard as a fact, she was not going to own as her truth. And all of us have the opportunity to do this. I did this in my own journey, being totally set free from rheumatoid arthritis. I would be in so much pain. I was dealing with so much fatigue. There were days that I thought I'm not going to be able to get through the day to day. And as soon as I would have that thought, I would say to myself, wait a minute, I'm not going to think like that. And I would start to say out loud, I'm going to be full of energy today. I know that I'm going to not only make it through the day, but I'm going to get so many more things accomplished than I imagined that I could. I am going to live out this day with more joy, more hope, more peace than I can imagine possible. And so I began to shift the way that I would speak to myself, would speak about my body, would speak about my future. And that's something that you can choose to do. You can choose to partner your imagination with faith, with hope, with promise, and project that into your future rather than with fear. Fear is often a liar. A long time ago, I learned, what is the acronym? Fear is false evidence appearing real. And so we can listen to the voice of fear that says, you're going to be crippled. You're going to be in a wheelchair. You won't be able to work. You won't be able to support yourself. You won't be able to do, fill in the blank. Fear comes with lies that feel overwhelming and all consuming. And there's just no hope in that. But when we can tap into the voice of promise, the voice of hope, the voice of truth, then we can begin to imagine our future in ways that seem impossible. But then by speaking what seems impossible, we can actually make that become our reality. And it's exactly what I did. It's exactly what I see my daughter practicing now. And it's what I believe is going to transform her future. When I was in the midst of going to all of my appointments and doing all the things that I needed to do and taking all the medications and doing all the treatments and all of that, I remember my doctor saying, like, you need to get used to this. You don't, you're never going to get over this. There's no cure for this. Your best hope is to, take these treatments and hopefully slow down the progression of the disease. And more than 10 years ago, I walked into her office after making a decision that I wasn't going to live that life. I wasn't going to need knee replacements. I wasn't going to imagine my future where I was debilitated and couldn't walk and couldn't do the things that I knew I wanted to do. And more than 10 years ago, walked into her office and basically said, I'm not in pain anymore. I've weaned off all my medications. I've totally changed my nutrition. I've prayed and asked God to give me strategies and wisdom, and He gave it to me. And I think that I'm done with this. And she gave me my exam and was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how you did this, but you look amazing. You need to keep doing this and come back if you need to see me. If anything flares back up. It was more than 10 years ago. Rheumatoid arthritis doesn't just go away, but I believed in something that other people, physicians, medical professionals said was impossible. And I have been living that impossible reality for the last 10 plus years. And now I'm seeing my daughter believe and declare in that impossible future for herself. And I believe with her that she's going to see it. And so today's little shorty episode is just to encourage you that if you've received a bad report from your doctor, don't be in denial. Don't, not receive treatment. Don't decide that you're going to, eat all these things that harm your body because you are, whatever you might think. Like, it's important that we steward our bodies well, that we nourish them well, that we speak life over them. But at the same time, so you're not in denial. You're not saying like, oh, this isn't true. I don't really have this. You're taking care of yourself in ways that you need to take care of yourself, while at the same time disagreeing with the report that the doctor has given you because you believe in a higher truth, in a better truth, in a reality that might seem impossible to them, but that you just have this little twinge in your heart, in your spirit that says like, it's okay to dare to dream and believe for something bigger and better. And then to take the steps that need to be taken in order for you to do that. I just pulled out yesterday two different books that were really instrumental in my own healing journey, because she is at this point now in her life where she's like, okay, what do I need to do? Like, what else can I do to really take care of myself so that that isn't my future? And so she's excited over the next couple of days to dig into some strategies on nutrition, some strategies for supplements, some strategies for movement, and all kinds of things that she can do naturally to empower her body to heal. And so I just want you to know that if you've gotten bad news from the doctor, it it doesn't mean that that is the final word. I truly believe that God gets the final say in our experience here on earth, and I strongly believe in miracles, and I know that the impossible can become possible. And so you get to choose. Remember that. You get to choose whether you partner your imagination with faith or with fear. And choosing to partner your imagination with faith can make all the difference in the future reality that you experience. And I bless you to begin to practice that and walk in that and receive that. Thank you for listening to the Conquering Chronic Illness Show. I bless you to know that you are more than a conqueror. And if you'd like to get around other women who are on a journey to developing that identity for themselves, that identity of conqueror, then you're invited to join me in my totally free Facebook group called The Conqueror Community. It's a place where you can connect with like-minded conquerors, women who are on a journey of conquering all the things that are threatening to stand in the way of the abundant life Jesus promised them. When you gather in a community of women who are encouraging and uplifting and supportive and full of hope and their own testimonies of conquering, then it fuels your faith to keep going on your own journey. So I hope that I'll see you there.